There you sit, the gatekeeper, tasked with defending the great bastion of motordom and upholding a last-century codex of urban planning and traffic engineering. Your job is important, keeping the streets clear of irritating, squishy obstacles and keeping the great armada of motordom flowing free and proud. So what tools are at your disposal? What are the most effective ways of reversing 7,000 years of urban life and keeping pedestrians out of the way, under control, under your greasy thumb, gatekeeper? Well, I have made a list. These are the top 10 ways to hate on pedestrians. Counting down from number 10, fake your concern. I'm going to keep it nice and easy here at the beginning, nice and simple. All you have to do to fake your concern is to make some signs. That's it. Expropriate some funds from your, education or health department. Nobody cares. And just print out a bunch of signs. Like here in Brazil. The sign high above the traffic where motorists can barely see it says, "Respect the pedestrians." All the logos of fancy departments in the city are on the sign, and it didn't cost you very much at all. If you really want to be a big spender, you can upgrade. You can make signs like this. All you have to do is pay somebody a couple bucks an hour to stand out there dangling a sign in front of moving traffic. But if you do this one, please make sure that you use a soft material because we don't want any scratch marks on our paint jobs. Respond to all the calls from your whiny citizens about traffic safety improvements by hanging up some signs. And we're done. Number 9 on the list, crossing guards. Now, the urbanist hippies are going to tell you that there are ways to improve traffic safety like, raised crosswalks, curb bump outs, slowing down the speed limit, speed bumps. Just ignore them. Use children instead. Kids are great. They are, after all, future motorists, and we can plant all sorts of things in their pretty little heads. Fear, for example. Respect for the automobile as the primary transportation in our cities. Dress them up like clowns. Put them out in the street to stop traffic. Call them crossing guards. Give them uniforms and a sense of self-importance. Nobody can say that you're neglecting traffic safety when you are educating and disciplining our children. If you don't have many kids where you are because they're all being driven to school as they should be, just use adults instead. Same damn thing. I did this in the 6th grade, and look at me now. I turned out just fine. Number 8 on the list, instill fear. Fear is your surest and sharpest weapon, gatekeeper. Defending the bastions of motordom requires vision and dedication. Make them run for their lives. This worked back in 1950s in Paris, and by God, it will work today in every city in the world. You can also put up signs to constantly remind them that they are second-class citizens. Signs that just say, "Watch out for cars. Pedestrians beware." Of course, watch out for cars. You can also slap down stickers on a crosswalk that just says, "Watch out. Be careful." If you really have game face, you'll put on the sticker so badly that pedestrians can trip and fall right on the street, bowing at the altar of the waiting automobiles. That is a lesson that they will not forget. If the sight of oncoming traffic is not enough to scare them, then hey, we have technology that can help. Walking in a city should not be nice or comfortable. Crossing the street should have an inherent level of stress and danger built into it every single time. Get crossing signals like this. Look at the stress-inducing, flashing, running green man. If their hearts are not racing and pumping by the time they get to the other side of the street, then you, gatekeeper, have failed. And remember to set the crossing time so short that it is only the fit that will survive. Number 7 on the list, tell them what to wear. Dictating what these simple-minded pedestrians should be wearing is an absolute no-brainer. Start condescending campaigns and ridicule them for not wearing brightly colored clothing, reflective vests and armbands and leg bands. Just make them dangle lights off of all of their clothing. Sure, for the first time in the history of Homo sapiens, but you know what, gatekeeper? The future starts now. Come on, even the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, has a page about pedestrian safety, so it's gotta be a thing. They got your back. Which makes me wonder, does the CDC regard pedestrianism as a disease? Cool. And while you're at it, you're also gonna have to suppress news stories like this. Black cars involved in most accidents because we can't see them. Yeah, right. But you have to kill this. Don't let anybody get wind of this. You are the gatekeeper, for Christ's sake. You have to do everything that is necessary. And while we're at it, why not helmets for pedestrians? Like this campaign from the Danish Road Safety Council. It says in Danish, a walking helmet is a good helmet. This brings us to number 6, ridicule. Ridicule is a powerful behavioral tool if you use it correctly. It was the cornerstone in the automobile industry strategy back in the 1920s. Learn from our masters. They have so much to teach us. Treat pedestrians like the clowns they are by sending out mimes and clowns into traffic, like here in Bogota, Colombia, to teach them how to use the streets. Sure, place some focus on automobile traffic if you need to keep everybody happy, but we all know what the real message here is. Or like what they did in Cologne, Germany. Oh, they understand in the German heartland, they really do. They sent out clowns into traffic to make fun of pedestrians. They had campaign slogans as well. Cologne stops for red. And I will whistle you. This is a German expression which really means I will tell on you. Ridicule and shaming hand in hand. This brings us to number 5 on the top 10 list of ways to hate on pedestrians. Pedestrian flags. Who wants to spend money on raised crosswalks and better traffic signals and speed bumps for cars and road diets and all of that? Nobody. It's so simple. You just put pedestrian flags on either side of the crosswalk. You don't actually improve the crosswalk. And you just get them to grab a flag and wave it wildly over their head while they try to cross the street in their designated space. And you know what pedestrian flags are, man? They are dressing them up, ridiculing them, and instilling fear in them, all wrapped into one. Oh, this is the holy trinity of hating on pedestrians. Number 4 on the list brings us to ban walking. Just cut to the chase, gatekeeper, and ban walking. Criminalize it, because we have all seen those pedestrians wandering about our city streets, staring at their devices, not paying attention. Oh, it just never ends. It's hammer time. Get on board like other visionary cities, like this one here in New Jersey, and just ban texting and walking. We don't want to have to watch out for pedestrians staring at their devices while we're watching a perfectly good YouTube channel on the screen inside of our car. Come on. Or you can do as an entire Canadian province is trying to do. Ontario, the heads up, phones down, law. Law and order, man. That is music to my ears. If you really want to grab them where it hurts, you can maybe find some inspiration in this Spanish town who are trying to ban drunk walking. Of course. Everybody knows that when I'm driving my car drunk, I have airbags. I'm not going to end up like that poor thing on the curb somewhere in Spain. Just end it. Ban it. Criminalize it. Game over. And now for number 3 on the list, distract them. Distraction is great. We're not exactly dealing with rocket scientists here, right? So it's going to be kind of easy. You've probably heard all of these tales of an Orwellian future, 1984, Big Brother, and we're all heading down that road now. Forget about it, because our secret weapon is Mr. Aldous Huxley, author of Brave New World. This is our inspiration. He envisioned a future where people were just offered endless, mindless entertainment to keep them calm and distracted. That is how you pacify a population. And pedestrians are no different. Just give them a stupid video game to play while they're at the crosswalk to keep them in their place, you know? They can play Pong with a dorky pedestrian on the other side of the street until the light turns green and they have to sprint. It's very, very simple. Look at that. Even better, and this is better because this idea comes from a car company. Just give them stupid things to look at while they're waiting for the light. Little dancing red men there, and they'll just be like, staring at that until the light turns green. And this will let all of the people driving their cars continue on their way to do all of the important things that they need to do. Number 2 on the list, jaywalking. The concept of jaywalking is as American as apple pie, shooting beer cans in the desert, and supersized meals. It was also a gift to us from the American automobile industry back in the 1920s, so you know it has to be good. Seriously, the word and the concept were invented by the automobile industry as a way of getting the pedestrians the hell out of the way and to try and teach them to behave. A 7,000-year-old habit of walking anywhere you want in the city, or crossing the street wherever you please, can be eradicated if you want it bad enough. Back in the day, the automobile industry sent out Boy Scouts onto the streets with little flyers scolding pedestrians for their socially unacceptable behavior. Little flyers like this. Then they spent a couple of decades publishing articles and cartoons across the nation in order to hammer out their ideology, the ideology that we still, luckily, live with today, that the streets are made for cars. Most of Europe didn't even get this jaywalking memo, and look where they are today. Am I right? Jaywalking. Enforce it. Back in the day, we had Boy Scouts, but now we have heavily armed law enforcement officers. And you know what? Don't be shy about a little bit of collateral damage like this. It's all for the common good. You can also, while you're at it, put up pedestrian barriers everywhere you can, because we need to shepherd these poor lost sheep. We need to herd them, keep them where we know they're gonna be. Pedestrian barriers across the board. And finally, at number 1 on the list of the top 10 ways to hate on pedestrians, the beg button. Number 1 on this list is an absolute classic, the beg button. Oh. Wait. Of course, wait. It's important that pedestrians don't think they have the run of the place, that they have some kind of ownership. Never mind the fact that they did for about 7,000 years, but hey, times have changed, gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing that with one simple installation, you can force these rogues of the urban landscape to, well, essentially fill out an application form to cross our busy streets. Make them feel insignificant. And you know what? Have some fun with it. Install one of these boxes with that authoritative male voice that speaks to them like children. Configure the system just to rotate randomly through waiting times that you decide yourself, probably with your colleagues at the Christmas party at the office, man. Just make them wonder if they're ever going to be allowed to cross that street. Oh, and if you have a 2-stage crossing, oh my God, have a field day with that. Keep them out there in the middle of the street, caged in like the untamed vermin that they are. Who doesn't love a simple engineered control mechanism? Beautiful. Now here is the fun part. This is the pro tip. You don't actually have to connect it to the system at all. It doesn't actually have to work. Many of them in cities around the world have no function whatsoever. But man, it is fun to see the pedestrians standing there thinking they have influence. This is how easy it really is. Remember, the day the pedestrians have the run of the place is the day the terrorists have won. Now here's what you should do. You should adopt one, preferably several, of these ideas. And if you do so, you can declare proudly to the world that you are A, completely unwilling to take traffic safety seriously, B, ignorant of the existing best practice regarding traffic calming and lowering speed limits, etc., C, a slave to an archaic last century mentality, D, immune to the death and injuries of millions of humans every year all over the world, and E, incompetent. But let's face it, you're probably all of those things already. That's it from me today. Like, subscribe, do all the things you do on YouTube, and I will see you next time.